More tension in the Himalayas on the disputed border between India and China. Both sides are accusing the other of firing shots in the air on Monday night. Now, this disputed area is around what's called the Line of Actual Control, or the LAC. It runs between Indian-administered Kashmir and Chinese-administered Aksai Chin. And this tension's not new. Back in June, 20 Indian soldiers were killed in clashes. We don't know if China lost soldiers too. And that clash took place in the Galwan River Valley. It was reported to have involved hand-to-hand combat and spiked bats. And while that was highly unusual, military patrols often do get close to each other because there's no marked border. The significance of Monday night, though, is that it involved firearms. For decades, both sides have stuck to an agreement to avoid using guns in the disputed territory. Now, as you'd expect, both sides are blaming each other for this latest piece of tension. First of all, here's the Chinese Foreign Ministry.
On the 7th of September, Indian troops illegally crossed the line of actual control and entered the south bank of the Pangong So Lake at the western sector of the China-India border. The Indian troops blatantly fired threatening shots at the Chinese border patrol troops who were there for negotiations, and the Chinese border troops were compelled to take countermeasures to stabilize the situation.
Now, the Indian Army denies entering territory it shouldn't have. It denies firing shots. What is certain is the language around these moments continues to escalate. This is the editor of the Chinese state-supported Global Times. A border conflict, he says, is looming due to the Indian side's misjudgment and repeated provocations. If Indian troops open fire towards the PLA, that's the Chinese army, its troops in conflicted areas will be defeated. Well, the BBC South Asia editor Anbrasan Etarajan is live with us. Anbrasan, thanks for your time today. How do you read what's happened on Monday night in the context of the tensions earlier in the year?
What is interesting is the change of language on both sides, both China and India. And if you look at the Chinese military statement on Monday night, it was very, very blunt. They said that they had to take countermeasures, and they strongly criticized India and warned that China will be forced to take further steps so that the Indian troops will not intrude into their territory. For months, the Indian Defense Ministry kept quiet on these alleged intrusions and the border tensions, but the Indian Army was very swift this morning in issuing a statement saying they did not fire a shot, and it was the Chinese who indeed actually fired in the air towards a forward position. So it shows that things are really getting hot along the border. And both sides are now not only jostling for space, and they want to dislodge each other from what they have said they have captured some of these territories. Now, you have to understand, this is a very punishing territory. We're talking about 10,000 to 15,000 feet high. It's called snow desert, mountains. Nobody can live there during winter. And this is where these two of the world's biggest armies are locked horns, and they are an eyeball-to-eyeball situation. And that is a dangerous sign, because any one wrong step by the other side can lead to escalation.
I'm sure there are a few people listening to you, Anbrasan, thinking, given the terrain, given how remote it is, why are India and China so concerned with this border? Why are they investing so much political capital into it?
And it goes back to the colonial period, because the British India signed a treaty with Tibet, the then Tibet, and after when the communists took over China, they refused to accept that what the British India signed with Tibet. So this particular region is strategically important. First of all, it gives access. See, if the Indian troops want, they can go across Aksai Chin and cut the link between Xinjiang and Tibet. That is a very key highway between these two provinces, and that is what China has always been worried about. They want to protect that link with Tibet. On the other hand, if you go further north in the Ladakh region, that is the Karakoram Pass. That connects Pakistan with China, and then China has invested more than $60 billion in terms of economic corridor going all the way to Gwadar port in southern Pakistan. So they want to protect, first of all, their economic assets, and second, they do not want India to build more infrastructure on the contentious territory. And that's why China is very keen. On the other hand, India thinks that if China moves the line of actual control, it will lose its military edge.